Welcome back. Today we are going to start exploring the root cause resolution framework, which is a framework that's going to help you to stop patching symptoms on a surface level. And it's going to start helping you to solve the real cause of whatever issue you're going through right now or that you might be experiencing in the future. There's an important disclaimer today because I'm going to be talking about medications and medical treatments, and it's important to remind you that they do have their place. Medication can actually be the safest or fastest way to stabilize certain symptoms. And this root cause work that we're going to start doing today should happen alongside medical care. So never stop or change prescribed treatment without discussing it with your doctor. The goal here is to integrate everything that you're learning from me. We're going to bring the medication or the treatment when needed, whilst we are addressing the underlying drivers so we can reach that long-term health that we strive for. You're going to hear me talking about supplements, nutrients, other treatment options. Remember, this is for education purposes only. Do not self-prescribe. I'm going to repeat that. The key message here, all this information that I'm bringing you is to assist you in asking better questions. So you get everything that you learn from me, everything that we discuss during these sessions, and you're going to think about it, you're going to digest, you're going to analyze what's going on in your life, in your body, in your health, and you're going to start asking better questions to whoever is alongside in your journey. So it could be your GP, it could be your gynecologist, it could be your endocrinologist, your naturopath, your nutritionist. Start asking better questions. Don't do it yourself, but surround yourself with professionals that can help you. And once you are equipped with better questions, you're going to reach better outcomes. Remember that one of our 3 pillars, so those 3 pillars we're going to be touching on over and over again during the program. The first one is to become the specialist in you. So everything that we're doing here, it's going to help you to become this person who knows more about your body than anyone else, who has a good understanding of what's happening. You understand what you're going through, what's changing, and what's going to change in the future. You start understanding when your body sends you those cues, your body's whispering and trying to talk to you, and you start understanding. And part of this process that we have already started is to help you to become this person. And then the second pillar is the root cause resolution, because knowing everything you know about your body, you start understanding better what the problems are, but also what's underneath those problems so you can actually fix them for good. And that's going to bring you to the third pillar, which is creating that sustainable journey towards freedom. Once you break free from those cycles that we're going to explore today, you start finding yourself in a new lifestyle that brings you freedom and brings you health and brings you joy. Okay, so those 3 pillars are very important. Keep them in mind every time that we're working together. So let's start. Why root cause matters? After all, if I can take something for a headache, for example, do I really need to know where the headache is coming? If I can get a pill to fix whatever I'm going through, why does the root cause matters? Well, it's as easy as this. As long as we are treating the symptom only, we are going to find a quick relief. But the quick relief, it's often temporary. If we don't address what's happening underneath the headache or whatever, or any other issues that you may be experiencing, that symptom will keep coming back. So you have to, keep on taking painkillers for the headache, for example. And sometimes this works, but sometimes it doesn't. And it actually can create even more distress. So you're going to notice that if you start taking medication just to patch symptoms, you might start experiencing side effects from these medications. You can actually worsen the initial issue that's not being addressed. Imagine like years and years and years of an issue trying to manifest in your body, and you just keep patching on a surface level. And this will get you stuck in cycles of reliance. And I brought some of those cycles here to bring you a visual for you to understand on how this works. For example, if you're having issues with sleeping, Are you struggling to sleep and then you decide to touch on the surface level and you go, you know what, I'm going to get myself some sleeping pills. So you go to a doctor, get a prescribed sleeping pill or get something over the counter. That sleeping pill help you to sleep, but you don't even notice, or you might notice, or it might be so subtle, but you are a bit groggy in the morning. Oh, and you're really struggling, it's really hard. So you have to start searching for ways of stimulate your body. It might be an energy drink. It might be 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee in a day, or whatever you do to keep yourself awake. All of a sudden you are wired. It's late in the afternoon when you can't sleep because you did such a good job at stimulating yourself so you could get over the grogginess that you're actually full of energy now. You can't sleep. So you have to reach out to your sleeping pills again. And that creates a cycle. I like calling it the Band-Aid cycle because you put a little Band-Aid, it looks so innocent there at the top, but it creates a cascade. It's like a domino effect that keeps you stuck. Look at the second one here, for example. You are constantly having indigestion, heartburn. Instead of going and searching the reason why you're experiencing that, you decide to touch on the surface and you get yourself an antacid. And that continues repeating over and over again. All of a sudden you have low stomach acid production, which impacts your digestion and you start suffering from indigestion. And because you're suffering from indigestion, guess what you're gonna reach out for? More antacid. It's another Band-Aid cycle. This one here is the one that I see the most. You are on a diet, you are doing calorie restriction or food restriction, whatever you're going through, you somehow starving your body. The process leads to cravings. And you hold those cravings really well for a few days or a few weeks, but it's just a matter of time you see yourself binging again. You're really desperate for those foods you've been avoiding. So you have a few binging episodes that lead to weight gain. And because you gained weight, guess what? You need more diet and more restriction. Now, I brought 3 cycles here to bring you as an example so you could see what I'm talking about, how this works. As long as you're touching on the surface issues only, as long as you're using the Band-Aid, you're going to be stuck on those cycles. These are 3 cycles of many, many hundreds, if not thousands of cycles that women are trapped on, especially as we go through perimenopause, because as we're going to explore, we start having a little bit more metabolic issues, sleeping issues, mood issues. And if we don't become that specialist in our bodies, if we don't get on top of this root resolution, the root cause resolution framework that I'm presenting today, we are going to spend 10, 20, 30, 40 years of our lives stuck in cycles like this. Now, I brought you some common Band-Aids here for us to discuss, and they are usually seen alongside perimenopause. So, mood issues and cognitive function issues. It's estimated that 70% of women develop neurological or psychiatric symptoms during perimenopause. 70% is a whole lot. It's way too many women. So chances are, at some level, in some degree, at some point, we're going to experience it. Some sort of anxiety, some sort of depression, low mood, mood swings, brain fog. The obvious causes, which are things that we look at first time, is neurotransmitters imbalances, or, depending on how interested your doctor is in your health, they can also pick up, it could be hormonal balance, right? But there is a big problem here when we go for the Band-Aid solution, because the Band-Aid solution in this situation for many women can be an offer for an antidepressant. And yes, that's going to help on a surface level, but what sort of cycle you're getting trapped in when you go on an antidepressant? In this case, okay, remember I said there are places for antidepressant in treatments. Those are 2 different things, because what I want to bring to you here today is those root causes that are often missed, and they have to be discussed with your doctor before you get onto an antidepressant, if that is the suggestion, okay? So first thing, Deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies, B12, folate, vitamin D, they can all mimic symptoms that could overlap with depression, with anxiety, with brain fog, with low mood. Iron deficiency or too much iron can also manifest as anxiety, as depression. Thyroid dysfunction, especially if it's autoimmune, it can be a big cause of those symptoms. Gut dysbiosis, so that's when your gut microbiome is out of whack, especially if it's been for too long, if it's too severe. And today we know our gut is our second brain, right? There's so much going on there, including the mass production of serotonin, which is what we're searching for when we want to feel happy. It's that good feel hormone, a neurotransmitter that makes you feel good. And 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut. Now, you start understanding what I'm talking about here. If there's something going on in your gut, if that was the case, for example, would an antidepressant help? It will help with symptoms for sure, but wouldn't even touch on the cause. Chronic stress, cortisol dysregulation, circadian rhythm dysregulation, poor sleep, blood sugar swings can be a big issue as well, hormonal changes, a diet that doesn't support sustainable energy production or food for the brain. Imagine if you're experiencing any of these issues and they are manifesting as low mood, as brain fog, and then all of a sudden you're handed medication for depression or for anxiety. Do you agree that we're missing out on the whole picture here? So what would be a better approach in that case is to check our nutrients, check our thyroid, our gut health, our sleep, our stress, our diet and lifestyle. And if everything was checked, everything is fine, but we have a neurotransmitter imbalance. So yes, in that case, we need medication. Or even if you do find out that there's some things that are out of whack, but that medication is going to be needed and it's going to be important for you at that stage in your life. Remember, medication saves lives. Antidepressants save lives. So we get onto it, yes, but then we combine the medication with therapy and with the root cause support. So we go back on that checklist and we make sure that we check all the boxes. And as we are addressing the root cause of that problem, we might start seeing improvement. We might also consider exploring complementary options where appropriate. Okay, so we're talking about targeted nutrients, supplementation, diet, lifestyle changes, natural supports as CBD oil, for example. It's something that you should definitely discuss with your practitioner. And we start opening an umbrella of alternatives, of things that we can do to help our mental health and our cognitive function. Now, how beautiful it is if you get those things sorted in the root of the problem. That's when you start breaking yourself free from those cycles that we were talking about. Okay, so the key message here is medication can be life-saving, we know that, but true recovery only happens when we address all the reasons behind that low mood, behind that poor cognitive function. It's when we make sure the therapy is on check, we make sure that our support network and our environments are supportive of us. And then you get to the solution that we're looking for. Now let's talk sleeping issues, because sleep issues has a huge prevalence in perimenopause as well. It varies from 39 to 47% in perimenopause, so 39% to 47% of women in perimenopause will experience this issue, and it's even higher in postmenopause, up to 60%. So how important it is for us to get our sleep right. And hopefully, without the need for sleeping pills. The obvious causes that are often suggested or analyzed or taken in consideration is the stress and anxiety that stops you from sleeping. And the band-aid trap to that might be, here's some sleeping pills, or here's an antidepressant or a medication for anxiety. And once again, it's going to help on a surface level. But look at everything that we might be missing. We might be missing on a cortisol rhythm disruption because of stress or late caffeine intake or irregular eating. We might be looking at nutritional deficiencies once again. We might be suffering a rebound waking from alcohol, which a lot of women take at night, hoping or thinking that the alcohol is going to help them to sleep. And yes, it's true, alcohol helps us to start sleeping, to get to sleep, but it disrupts the sleep cycle in a way that we cannot reach that deep sleep. So we can wake up several times in the middle of the night or wake up in the morning feeling very tired. It could be an issue with behavior and habits linked to sleep hygiene, for example. It could be that you're eating late, that you're snacking late, that you're going to bed with too much energy in your body, or even hungry, because that cortisol spike can wake you up in the middle of the night as well. It could be restless legs, which is something that it's often seen in perimenopause, usually from low ferritin. It could be thermoregulation issues that makes you hot or makes you sweaty or make you have those episodes of hot flushes. It could be sleep apnea. It could be environmental issues. It could be something that's nothing to do with you. It could be something out there on your environment, or maybe your partner is snoring and stopping you from sleeping, or you have cats or you have kids. And all this picture here can be suppressed, can be literally swept under the carpet with a sleeping pill. A better approach to any sleeping issues will be, first of all, optimize sleep hygiene. We're going to go over this later in the program. If you need to run a sleep test to find out if there's any physiological issues that stop you from sleeping. Address any emotional and psychological stressors that disrupt your sleep. So look, we have to talk about that. There's women out there that are in unsafe environments, in toxic relationships. And this is going to play a role in the quality of their sleep. Another thing that we can do as well is to improve chrononutrition. We're going to go very deep into what that is like, but it's eating at certain times that optimize your energy during the day and your sleep at nighttime. We can look at exploring and correcting any nutrient gaps if needed. We can manage hot flushes and night sweats that trigger that waking in the middle of the night, and that could be done in a physiological level, but also in an environmental level. Assess our environment, and if needed, once again, explore alternative support. So we can look at nutrients, herbs, gentler options. We can look at melatonin, we can look at CBD oil. Those are things that we can explore before we go into sleeping pills. All right, medication can help in the short term for sure, but that deep restorative sleep that we all searching for comes from fixing the underlying drivers. Let's talk fatigue and low energy, which is another issue we see very often in perimenopause. There's several studies that points that anywhere from 46% of women who have been studied to 85% of women that are going through perimenopause experience fatigue symptoms. Now, 85% is a whole lot. And fatigue can be debilitating to the point that you cannot get out of the bed in the morning. And you don't have time, you don't have the energy to exercise, to prep your food, to go shopping for fresh foods. And that can put you in a spiral where you're so tired to look after yourself that you get worse and worse, and the fatigue gets worse and worse as well. Now, the obvious causes of fatigue that's usually analyzed, it's poor sleep or too much stress or too much on your plate, right? And the band-aid trap for that, it's often, sometimes we just get dismissed with you're just stressed. Suggestions for having more coffee. I've had women saying that they were told by their health practitioners to drink more coffee to push through, or to take an antidepressant or a stimulant. You might get a suggestion to take a multivitamin or an energy formula. Meanwhile, we might be missing out on blood sugar instability and early insulin resistance. That's a big thing because that's going to interfere in a whole lot of other aspects of your life. We could be missing out on nutritional deficiencies that are affecting your energy and your sleep. We can be missing out on thyroid dysfunction, on chronic inflammation, medication side effects. Some medications can make you really tired. Statins, for example, is one of them, which is the medication we use to lower cholesterol. Cortisol dysregulation, remember we spoke about being that sandwich generation when there's so much, we are juggling so many plates. It's very stressful, and that can create some sort of cortisol dysregulation that disrupts sleep and your circadian rhythm as well. So all of these could be just going unnoticed. Gut health issues can be affecting your energy and causing fatigue. Lack of physical movement as well. The less you move, the more energy you produce. So you tend to get more tired. And the more tired you are, the less you want to move. So it's a very negative cycle. We're going to have a module dedicated to this matter as well. And once again, here we see a possibility of a diet that simply doesn't support that sustainable energy creation. You're not eating in a way that you give your body energy. Quite the opposite. You're eating foods that drain your body out of energy. So what would be a better approach then? It's for us to take a comprehensive view and investigate beyond the obvious. We have to go beyond the energy drink or the second or third cup of coffee. We cannot keep on pushing. We have to consider this whole picture. We need to take in consideration our body, environment, our daily demands. And we should aim for solutions that restore that balance and not that quick caffeine fix that we get every day. Lasting energy will come from addressing all the pieces of the puzzle, not just treating the one symptom in isolation. Okay, we do a whole work here, and this is one of the beautiful things about this program is that we do this whole work. We're not just looking at one thing, at one symptom. We are working on the whole picture. There's no single energy formula. There's no single herb or supplement that can lift the heavy load of stress and lifestyle imbalances. Okay. Another issue, let's talk about weight gain and how do we patch that on the surface level so often in our lives. According to the CDC, 43.3% of women aged between 40 and 59 have obesity. I'm not talking about the one or two extra kilos, I'm talking about obesity. This is serious numbers. We need to have a serious talk about it. It is part of aging, putting on a little bit of weight. That's normal. We're going to talk about this as well. But when we get to this point, when we're looking at 5, 10, 15, 20 kilos, and year after year, we're seeing more and more increase on the scales, on the number of the scales, we start getting concerned about it. And the obvious causes that are usually seen, it's poor diet or a slow metabolism. So it's, people are very quick to say that you're not eating well, your metabolism is slowing down, you're not moving enough. And the band-aid trap for that is just eat less and move more. Try this diet. And for the diet here, look, I have a whole list. Cut carbs, cut fats, cut sugar, start fasting, go keto, go carnivore. Go on a liquid diet. There's so many suggestions when it comes down to weight loss, right? Try this shake. Try this new supplement. Track your calories. Or here's an appetite suppressant, which is something that's becoming very, very popular lately. And some doctors might even go a bit further and ask, have you considered surgery? Which once again has its place. But it shouldn't be seen as the first or the very first attempts in losing weight, because none of these, even though pretty much all of this is going to help you to lose that weight, right? But it's going to simply ignore the many root causes that could be involved in the process. So we could be looking at high cortisol. I'm talking about that chronic cortisol, that poor sleep with lots of stress. Women out there who are under eating and over exercising, they attempt to lose weight. They're really struggling with that. Their metabolic balance is really struggling with that. We might be missing out on insulin resistance, resistant resistance that is not caught early. We might be missing out on thyroid imbalances, in gut microbiome changes. Eating behavior, patterns, habits linked to emotional eating, poor habits, dieting, that dieting cycle that keeps you trapped over and over again. We might be missing out on hormonal changes and its effects on your body. Even past trauma, medication side effects. There's so much to weight gain and there's so much to weight loss. It's a giant puzzle with many, many, many pieces. But the one piece that usually gets all the attention is the diet, or is that quick fix, or is that detox tea. And now the medications. What about everything else? And that's why we see the yo-yo effect. It's something so common, especially in women after 40. The yo-yo effect means you did something to lose weight, but it wasn't sustainable, or you didn't address the root cause, so you ended up gaining weight again. And because you gained weight again, you start another diet, and so on and so forth, and you get trapped in the yo-yo cycle for years, for a lifetime. There's also environmental and social factors, which we're going to cover in detail during the program as well. Now, a better approach will be to address all this picture. We need to assess energy levels. If you're too tired to get out of the couch, it's very likely that you're going to struggle to lose weight. We need to assess your environment, your support network, your eating behavior, your diet, but not in a way that we're counting your calories. We're actually looking at your diet as a whole, your food matrix and everything that you put on your plate, but on a nutritional level, on an emotional level, not only looking at calories. We need to optimize your nutrient intake. We need to address your eating habits realistically. And I put realistically here in red because it's very important to remind you that whatever you're trying to do to change your eating habits, it needs to be realistic and sustainable. Otherwise, it's just going to lead you to that yo-yo effect. We need to run some labs, look at any suboptimal results. We've already discussed a little bit about that. We need to strengthen your gut health, your mental health. We need to look into strength training, joyful movement that comes to stay, hormonal balancing. So much to weight gain. There's so much to weight loss. And those weight changes in perimenopause are not about willpower or eating less. As I said, they're just two tiny little pieces to that puzzle. I'll bring on some sugar cravings as well. Now, there's no statistics on sugar cravings. It's very hard to find studies about sugar cravings alone, but my own experience in clinic is that most women right now, with our lifestyle, with the way we eat and the way we address our cravings, are struggling with sugar cravings. The obvious assumptions, and I put assumptions here instead of causes, is that there is an addiction, and I'm using addiction here in a way that it leaves it open for discussion. We're going to go deeper into that topic later. There is a module just about sugar and lack of self-control. And the band-aid trap for this are just cut sugar, go on a sugar-free diet, which works for a while, right? We all try the sugar-free diet. Or don't have sweets at home. And this is silly because it works for as long as you don't have sweets at home. But the moment you get sweets at home, or the moment you get exposed to sweets, either because you went to someone's house or because someone gave you as a gift or because it's Easter time, you're going to eat it because you haven't addressed the cravings. So let's address the cravings. What could be behind sugar cravings? It could be fatigue and exhaustion. We're going to have a whole module on sugar cravings. You're going to love it. You're going to see that it comes from places that you could never imagine before. It could be dietary imbalances leading to poor satiety or poor blood sugar levels regulation. It could be due to restricted dietary protocols or attempts to lose weight. Remember, I spoke about the restricting and the binging cycle. Could be nutritional deficiencies. It could be stress and cortisol spikes. It could be blood sugar imbalances. It could be poor sleep, because we know now that if you sleep poorly, you have an increase in hunger hormones. and a decrease on the satiety hormones, the ones that say that, yay, that, that was enough, I don't need anymore. And it changes your dopamine levels as well. We explored that already in one of our lessons. It could be emotional or eating or behavioral eating patterns, looking for comfort, reward, the habit loop. We could be looking at gut microbiome imbalances because certain bacteria kind of ask for sugar. And you're missing out on all of this when you are just avoiding to buy chocolate from the supermarket. You're missing out on this whole picture. A better approach would be to look into everything we just discussed right now, to balance your meals with proper protein, fiber, healthy fats, to make sure that you're sleeping well, you're doing some sort of stress management, you're correcting your nutrient gaps and your blood sugar spikes if they are present. You're addressing emotional triggers with awareness, with tools that help you, that set you up for that journey of sustainability that we discussed. We're most likely going to have to do some gut health work here. Learn how to allow sweets with enjoyment. This is very important, especially for women who have been dieting for too long, especially for women who think that eating sugar is wrong, that they shouldn't be eating chocolate, that every time that they eat chocolate, they have to compensate that behavior by either not eating for a whole week or exercising like there's no tomorrow the day after. Okay? Once again, there's going to be a great module on this. You're going to love it. Cravings are feedback. Your body's trying to say something. And the moment that you become that specialist in you start understanding what your body's saying, and then you learn how to stabilize those blood sugar levels. You learn how to nourish your body, enjoy sugar in the right way. And then all of a sudden you realize that urge to binge on sugar fades away naturally. It's a beautiful place to be when you no longer leaving that ongoing conflict, that food noise in your head saying, I shouldn't eat chocolate, but I want chocolate, but I want this ice cream so bad, but I should come off sugar. It's so exhausting. When you break free from that cycle, you realize that life is much better. Life is lighter. It shouldn't be so complicated. You're gonna love that, the module about sugar cravings. I love it. Other common band-aids that we see very often, antacids for reflux without fixing the behavioral issues or the dietary issues that cause reflux. Using painkillers for ongoing pains without addressing, in this case, dehydration, tension, hormones, vision issues. Using laxatives for constipation without addressing the diet and the gut health. Using diet shakes or detox teas or supplements instead of looking at creating a more balanced, sustainable eating pattern in your life. Repeating antibiotics without addressing gut health and immune health. Taking meds for cholesterol that it's high, the cholesterol is high because you have low estrogen, because your thyroid is not doing its work, because you're too stressed, because you're not sleeping well, because you're not eating well. So once again, cholesterol meds can save lives, but it shouldn't be just patching the surface. You should work alongside with your medication to address these issues, because if it's coming from a place of low estrogen, even then, I'm not talking about just alternative natural approaches. You might need to look into hormonal treatment. And then you fix the root cause of that high cholesterol. Medication for blood pressure that is being driven by stress, alcohol, or weight gain. What is the point? Why are we taking medication when we actually need to address stress, alcohol, weight gain, hydration, proper hydration? Once again, blood pressure medication save lives, but we need to use that alongside these changes. Meds for osteoporosis without building bone mass through nutrition and strength training. Meds for hot flushes without addressing the dietary and environmental triggers first. There's some women that if they cut alcohol alone, they stop experiencing hot flushes. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be ideal? Now look at so many meds that I mentioned, medications that I mentioned just in the last 2 or 3 minutes, and imagine how many medications, how many different medications you may end up with. You might be collecting along life. if you don't address those issues. Now, look at this. If you are listening to me and doing something else, I want you to stop for a second and look here in the screen, because I have a visual for you of what the Band-Aid cycle looks like. So, number one, you have an issue. Whatever issue, you name it. Whatever you're going through right now. And then, the Band-Aid goes on. Whatever quick fix that you decided to use, boom, great, you feel better. Or you get a side effect. But either way, because you're feeling better or because you had a side effect, you stop using that Band-Aid. So the Band-Aid comes off, and it's just a matter of time for you to get back on that cycle, because without the Band-Aid, you're going to have that issue again. And then that goes on and on and on. Now, if you approach whatever you're going through with the root cause resolution approach, you have an issue, you investigate and understand where this is coming from, you tackle the root of the problem, you get better for real. And look at that, you break that cycle. You don't go back to that place of having that issue again. And then you can put all your time and energy into fixing other things or living life or enjoying life. Isn't it a much better place to be? It may require a little bit more work at this stage, but on the long run, it's going to save you so much energy, and it's going to bring you so much wellness. It's going to be somehow involved in your longevity and your long-term health as well, if you think about it. Doing the right thing now, it's going to help you to live a better life and even a longer life, if we're looking into health status. Now, there is an interesting thing here that I want to bring, that it's the root cause layers that sometimes is not very clear for us. Let's just make this visual again to make it easier. So let's say, for example, one of your issues at the moment, it's weight gain you're trying to get on top of. And then you go and you do all your investigations and you follow all those steps that I suggested here, and then you find out that you have high insulin. Great. High insulin is another issue of its own. You could go on meds to get that sorted, or you can try to find out where this high insulin is coming from. And you might realize it comes from poor eating habits, which is another problem on its own. What's behind that poor eating habits? Well, it's emotional eating. And then we can continue digging until we get to the real root cause. You see how there could be many different layers in this process. And don't get discouraged. This is actually a good thing, because when you start breaking things down further and further, it starts giving you a roadmap and helping you to point towards the right direction. Where do I start? And usually it's easier that way, because you start building on things slowly. I mean, it's very hard to fix high insulin levels or weight gain without knowing where it came from. So it's an actual positive thing when we start writing those things down and we start getting to the bottom of the problem. Mood swings, for example, could be coming from a place of blood sugar issues. Why am I getting those spikes? Why am I getting those crashes? Well, I've been dieting. Because, and then you go a bit further, because I've been struggling with weight gain and I want to lose weight. And where did that weight gain came from? I've been eating a whole lot of processed foods lately. Haven't been eating at home, haven't been eating real foods. You see how when we get here, it's much easier to start acting. And then one by one, those problems start getting solved. Another one here, just a quick one, fatigue that could be coming from skipping breakfast, for example. You're really struggling during the day because you got into a fasting protocol, you're not doing it properly, you're skipping breakfast, your body's suffering. Or, that could be coming from a place of diet protocol, but it could just be that you're very rushed in the mornings and you don't have time, you end up skipping breakfast every morning, and that comes down to lack of preparation. Great. We know where this is coming from. Now let's start working on this lack of preparation, and then one by one we start fixing those problems. Note that most root causes are often, there's some nuance of diet, lifestyle, behavior, and habits. So they all related. If they are not the cause, they are an aggravant. So they're making symptoms worse, they're making things worse. And if not now, they will most likely interfere in the future. So if you want to watch this presentation again, it's always best the second time around because you can get more insights. But note how on every single symptom that I touched, that could be related somehow to diet, lifestyle, behavior, or habits. And that's why in this program, we're going to cover all of this. What's next? I want you to start being curious. I want you to ask yourself if you're masking your symptoms or if you're trying to understand them. I want you to start observing any patterns that show up in your energy, in your mood, on your cycle. Which areas of your life need more attention? And instead of asking yourself, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my body? I want you to start asking, what is my body trying to say? What is my body telling me? And what I'm going to do to respond in an appropriate way. I also want to invite you to dive in with me because the next few months, it's an opportunity for self-discovery. And I want you to look at it as such. It's an opportunity for self-discovery. It's a game changer because you're going to learn how your body truly works. Be curious. Learn how to listen to your body. Break free from those habits that hold you back, those diets, those beliefs that have been keeping you stuck for the last few years. I want you to build your energy, your confidence, trust in your body, trust in yourself. I want you to step in a future where you feel in charge of your health and not stuck with those quick fixes, not stuck in those band-aid cycles that we discussed today. In the next few modules, we are going to explore everything that you need to know in order to get yourself free from those cycles. We're going to cover diet and lifestyle, behavioral patterns, psychological patterns, planning, organization, mindset and belief systems that hold you back, routine and habit formation, environment and support network, self-knowledge and self-compassion. Look at this whole picture that has to be addressed if we want to thrive through perimenopause. This is not just a program. This is your chance to transform the way you live, the way you eat, the way you feel. And it's for good. It's not a quick fix. It's a long-term thing. So I want to invite you to make the best of it, okay? And remember our 3 pillars always. Become the specialist in you, work on the root cause resolution, and look for that sustainable journey towards freedom, which we are going to lay together during this program. Okay, we're going to be talking about medications, supplements, and more soon. You know where to find me if you have any questions. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.